3 days ago, I held a finished copy of Built a Father in my hand for the first time on a launch day. Yesterday morning, I stood in a chamber while a mayor read out loud the words, "Fathering the Fatherless Day." And in that chamber, standing in those rows, were people I did not entirely expect to see. Today, I'm sitting at this microphone trying to put words to what just happened. And I'm breaking my Tuesday rhythm this week, and I'm recording this on Wednesday night instead of Monday night, because there was no way to honestly reflect on yesterday before yesterday actually happened. This is episode 7, The Other Side of the Launch. Welcome to the Father Blueprint. I'm Doug Androsky, founder of Fathering the Fatherless and author of Built a Father. This is the show for men who are done fathering by accident and ready to father on purpose. So let me bring you back to Sunday, launch day, June 7th. And I've been going about 100 miles an hour for what seems like a very long time. And the moment felt surreal. It felt as if nothing happened. It felt like it was just another day. Another day where I didn't have analytics to go off of, no status or update from online sales, and all I had was the high of sending out about 200 emails. I felt exhausted, spent, like that of an overnight shift or on a 12-hour patrol. And I've been carrying this weight, or this book, for a very long time, writing through nights and weekends, rewriting, cutting, rebuilding, sending the drafts to men I respect and waiting for their answers. And I never questioned what I was building mattered, because I knew it does, and I know it does. And not the lowercase no, the uppercase no. Like I truly believe this book is meant for this time. It is not meant for a specific person or a specific event the way many books are written. The weight of what I was writing, the weight of what I'm introducing to the world, the weight of changing the world is a weight that is crushing. But I knew this is what God wanted me to do, what He wants me to do. I knew no matter the overnights, no matter the sleepless nights, God was and is in this. And I don't know what the future looks like with this book and this movement, but I knew this on Sunday, and I still believe this today. I am willing, send me. I am willing, send me. You see, a third of the households with children under 18 are in single-parent households in the United States. A third of households with children under 18 are in single-parent households in the United States. 1/3. Why? Why? Because men have operated on default fatherhood for far too long, and enough is enough. The time is now. The time is now for men to start operating by design, on purpose, with a framework that is rooted in biblical truth, a simple-to-use reference that points to truly the good Father, God the Father. And then on Monday, when the numbers started coming in, our analytics told us we jumped in all 3 categories in books overall on Amazon by 88 to 96%. The book was moving. And I told my wife in the morning I just wanted to cry. I was getting emotional. And then I read an email that came from a colleague who said he ordered all 3 books. And I lost it. It was a release. It was a moment where I value the relationship with my colleague. But maybe it was because I put myself in his shoes. Maybe it was recognizing the significance of Built a Father getting in the home, or his home. Maybe it was the reality that this is going somewhere. The reality that only when men actually read it and apply it, generations will change. Legacies will start to be designed and built towards something, instead of defaulting to a system that has plagued this culture and this nation for decades, if not a century. That is what I built this for. Not the cover, not the launch ranking, not the numbers I could put in front of you on this microphone. That one reader, that one man or woman or pastor who reads the book and says, "This is naming something I have been carrying." 3 books drop, 1 reader gets named. That is the trade. That is why we do this. Dr. Ben Rall released his episode of Design to Heal on Monday that I appeared on. Ben is a doctor whose work centers on the connection between healing and design. The connection between the broken places in us and the way God built us. And if you remember from last week, Ben came into my life through Terry Hart. Terry is one of the 5 men who shaped me. Terry made a virtual introduction almost a few months ago, and then Ben read my book and endorsed it, and then welcomed me onto his show. Ben's podcast is called Designed to Heal, and I could see no greater synergy than this, no greater relationship than his podcast and my book. We were created and designed to be a father, to not be a default father, but to father by design, on purpose, by a framework. The thing that stuck with me the most from our conversation was Ben's reaction to fatherlessness. 7%. That's the world statistic. The U.S. is about 3 times that. So what needs to change? In his area of Florida, there are counties at about 50% of single-parent households. The one takeaway from his show is this. This book is not just for fathers. It is for everyone. It's for everyone. Everyone carries a father wound, whether man or woman. We see it in the homelessness. We see it in addictions. We see it in trafficking, human and sex trafficking. We see it in every relationship. Everyone is walking around with a father wound. And this book will help women who are raising daughters who need to know what man to look for. Who's raising sons who do not know what a man should be. It is for the mother who needs to vet what kind of man she should welcome into her home. And yes, for fathers, absent, present, fatherless, or those who claim they had a good father. And I assure you, this book is not for the prideful. There is only one good father, and I assure you I am not it, and neither was yours. God is. And if you do not think you have anything to learn, or that you have learned enough, that is the moment you stop growing. That is the moment you stop growing. That is the moment you are trying to bring forth yourself into the next generation. And I assure you, default fatherhood will not work. It won't. And it hasn't worked in the past, and it is not going to work in the future. 1/3 of the nation is in a single-parent household. 1/3. We were designed on purpose. We were designed to be a good father. We have just been looking to the wrong person. If the framework episodes you have heard here have done something for you, Ben's episode goes places we have not gone here. Then Tuesday morning, Matthew Efird released his. Matthew is a pastor, business owner, and author. And the most important word in that list for what I want to tell you is author. A man who has written a book reads another man's book differently. He knows what it costs. He knows what the writing took. He knows which sentences took a year to find and which chapters were rewritten 6 times before they sat right. When a man like that reads your book and decides to put his name on it, that endorsement carries a particular weight. Not the weight of marketing, the weight of craftsmen recognizing the craft. Matthew read Built to Father. He endorsed it. He invited me on to Pillars of Purpose. And I won't summarize the whole conversation. You can go listen to it for yourself. The link I'll put in the notes below. But I want to tell you is what it meant that Matthew was willing to put his platform behind his work, or this work. Because there were a lot of pastors who would not have. There are a lot of authors who would have stayed in their own lane. Matthew did not stay in his lane. He saw the work and decided to carry it alongside me. And that is a different kind of gift than what Ben gave me. But it is no less real. 2 voices joining mine in 1 week. 1 a doctor, 1 a pastor, 3 different audiences. And the most important and powerful thing about it, I did not orchestrate any of this. Terry introduced me to Ben. Ben introduced me to Matthew. Both of them decided this work was worth carrying on their own shows. You cannot manufacture that. You can only do the work faithfully, in obscurity, for a long enough time that when the day comes, the right people are already in your corner. And then Tuesday morning, I drove to Spring Hill Chamber of Commerce, 8:30 a.m. The mayor of Murray County reading aloud the proclamation declaring June 20th, 2026, the inaugural Fathering the Fatherless Day in our county. And I want to tell you what that room felt like. But first, I have to tell you how the morning started. My middle daughter, Sydney, wanted to be my helper. And I thought to myself, no, I'm running late, and I just need to go get ready. And then it hit me. She really wants to go. This goes back to what I've shared before regarding the 4-minute mail run. So she joined me, she helped me, and she was nicknamed my press secretary. The chamber itself felt like what I can only describe as a 2-bedroom, authentic home, worn wood floors, the feel of a personal touch, a room not able to fit many. With people standing on the stairs to attend, I heard we had about 50 people there, the most for an event like this at the chamber. And then people started arriving. I had reached out to House Representative Scott Cepicky of District 64 and hadn't heard back. And then he walked through the door. I had met the week prior Jay Strobino, a special projects coordinator for U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, and invited him, and he showed up too. I had met a Soldier's Child founder, Daryl Mackin, a month prior and asked him to join, and he showed up. I had invited the realtor who helped me close on the house that brought us to Tennessee. He showed up. The mayor of Murray County, Sheila Butt, many other members of our county were present, but then another couple stood out. Someone who had heard my story online and just showed up. Him and his wife expecting their first in a few months. Let that sit with you for a second. A man who heard my podcast or heard my story online brought his expecting wife that are expecting their newborn in a few months, showed up. They're about to become parents. They heard my story and they drove out to the chamber with a lot of strangers on a Tuesday morning to be in the room. And that is what this work is for. The weight started to settle in as I was getting ready to speak in front of the camera and in front of the people. I had planned a speech, and sometimes I just do better off the cuff, for which I didn't read any of my notes. As the mayor was reading the proclamation, it started to hit home. The significance of this work, the importance of this work, and the recognition from the county, state, and federal level. Once the camera went off, I shared about my book, about the raffle, about the coffee mugs, and before I could finish, as I was saying where the money goes, I started to cry in front of everyone. And it hit me. My wife, my rock, was there. My 3 daughters were there, and they quickly became the main attraction, and everyone loved them. Now I want to come back to something for a moment. When I invited Representative Scott Cepicky, I generally did not know if he would come. I sent the invitation as a courtesy, as a hope, not as an expectation. But he came. He stood in that room, heard the mayor read those words, and after the proclamation he welcomed me to reach out to his office, to meet with him. And I want you to understand what that means in a county like ours. State representatives have full calendars. They make choices about where they put their time. And he chose to be in that chamber on a Tuesday morning while a mayor read the words Fathering the Fatherless Day. And he was not the only one. Jay Strobino, representing Senator Marsha Blackburn's office, one of the most prominent Tennessee voices in the United States Senate, was in that chamber listening to the same words. And Jay, too, welcomed me to reach out. He wants to discuss the work we are doing. Now, I want to slow down here for a second, because I do not want this episode to sound political. The work of Fathering the Fatherless is not a left or right issue. It is not a partisan issue. It is a wound that crosses every line we draw in this county. and this country, and a calling that crosses every one of those same lines. But here's what mattered about Mr. Cepicky and Mr. Strobino being in that room. Their presence said that this work is being seen, not just by men in trucks listening to podcasts on the way to work, not just by readers ordering a book on a Sunday, by people in positions of civic responsibility who carry the weight of their offices and choose to put that weight in a chamber on a Tuesday morning. A boy who grew up in 36 homes, a kid in foster care, a young man with a record forming on him, in a room with a county mayor reading a proclamation, a state representative in the room, a senator's office represented as well. If God can do that, take a kid from where I came from and put him in a room where civic leaders are publicly naming the work he has been doing in private for years, he can do anything with anyone's story, including yours. 3 days, 3 moments, 1 thread. A book launch on Sunday, 2 podcasts on Monday and Tuesday, a proclamation on Tuesday in a room full of people I did not expect. And what they all add up to, what they actually mean, is something I want to name carefully because it is bigger than any one of them. This week was the public moment for work that has been in private for a very long time. The book has been in the works for the last 37 years of my life. My entire life. The podcast has been growing slowly since April. The relationships with Terry and Ben, with Matthew and David, with the men in my life have been built quietly in seasons no one was watching. And the proclamation did not come from this week's launch. It came from being faithful to what God has put in front of me and showing up consistently in this county and in this nation. Mr. Cepicky did not show up because of the book. Mr. Strobino did not show up because of a marketing email. They showed up because work that has been quiet for a long time finally surfaced, and they recognized the moment for what it was. And here's the principle I want every man listening to take with him today. Public moments are downstream of private faithfulness. It's the heart of integrity we'll talk about next week. Public moments are downstream of private faithfulness. The book launched this week because God put it on my heart to release it now. The proclamation happened this week because of God's faithful stewards showing up, staying, and leading. Ben and Matthew released their episodes this week because they read the book before this week and decided to put their names on it before any of us knew exactly how the launch would land. Mr. Cepicky and Mr. Strobino were in that room this week because integrity has a way of being noticed eventually by people who carry public weight. If you are a man doing quiet work right now in a season nobody is watching, hear me on this. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. The public moment is not the work. The public moment is what happens when the private work has gone on long enough that God decides to put it in front of more people. Let me say that again. The public moment is what happens when the private work has gone on long enough that God decides to put it in front of more people. You cannot reverse engineer that. You can't. You can only stay faithful. Keep building. Keep loving your wife. Keep speaking identity into your kids. Keep walking the fence line of your home. Keep showing up to the men who are walking alongside you. And then, in seasons he chooses, not seasons you predict, God moves what he has been forming. 2 things. First, Saturday, June 20th, the inaugural Fathering the Fatherless Day in Murray County. I will be back on this microphone with a special episode that day. A short, focused, celebratory episode marking the inaugural day, and the audio reading of the proclamation from Mayor Sheila Butt. Second, next Tuesday, June 16th, we return to the Shepherd Framework, Pillar 2H. H2, heart of integrity. The man who is the same in the dark that he is in the light. And this is the one of the most impersonal pillars I will ever talk to you about. And I will be honest with you. I cannot record it from a distance. I cannot pretend it does not apply to me. And before I close, I want to thank some people, because what happened this week is not mine alone. To the men who endorsed the book, Ben and Matthew, and the others who put their names on something I was building before any of us knew how it would land, thank you. To Representatives Cepicky and Mr. Strobino, thank you for being in that chamber, for lending the weight of your offices to a work that needs every voice it can get. To Mayor Butt, thank you for the proclamation, for naming the wound and committing this county to its healing. To Andrea, who has carried more in the last 12 months or more or greater than most people know, who has watched me disappear into late nights and Saturday mornings. The book has my name on the spine, but the credit belongs to a marriage, to us. To the men who pre-ordered, who showed up at the chamber Tuesday morning, who texted, called, prayed, listened. You are not the audience for this work. You are the proof of it. And to the man right now who is hearing this for the first time, who maybe just discovered this show this week through Ben's podcast or Matthew's, or because a friend sent you a link, welcome. You are in the right place. Your legacy is being written right now. This is your blueprint. You were built for this. You were built for this. Show up, stay, and lead. I'm Doug Androsky. This is the Father Blueprint.